Hello, everybody. Good day. Welcome to Live at the Waterhole on this fine afternoon. And so far, we're starting off at Tembe Elephant Park in Maputo land, out in the KwaZulu-Natal region. And so far, so good. We're starting off with looks like 3 or 4 elephant bulls just sitting in the shade over there. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again. My name is Andrew, and I'm going to be your naturalist for the next couple of hours. Let's hope the interesting things this afternoon. And so far, I have a good feeling about it. Right, I wonder what the temperature is doing out there this afternoon. It's just hit afternoon time, so we're roughly at about 12:30 in the afternoon, where the sun is going to be more or less at its highest point and hottest point. So it makes a lot of sense that these elephants just want to sit in the shade, do a little bit of dust bathing, and drink some water when they feel like it. So a nice little spot to be in, I think. All right, just moving around a little bit, even though that they seem to be very much milling around this area. At least one or two of them are still active walking around. All right, let's watch this other elephant bull that's moving off to the right. Let's go see what he wants to do. There seems to be some more elephants right at the back there. So potentially a nice breeding group or just a bachelor group of bulls. We'll just need to wait and see. Red-collared, yes, I know. It's quite an amazing sight. If you think about it, not all of us can actually access nature and go on these game drives and things like that. I think for the naturalists, we're very lucky because that's what we do, and yeah, we get paid for it, which is quite something. But for many people, you won't be able to do this. And so for a platform like this where you can watch nature even if you can't necessarily be there. So definitely, it is absolutely amazing. It's just amazing what technology is able to do nowadays. That even from the comfort of your own home, you can still spend some time in some game reserves and watch some cool wildlife. Mercedes, is it Bierna or Bean? I'm not quite sure how you pronounce the second part of your name there. I do apologize about that, but greetings to you as well. Yes, it's a little bit windy at my location where I'm from. So I'm hoping you're not getting these gusts of wind from outside because I must say the wind can be relentless where I'm from in the Eastern Cape. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. It would be lovely to hear from all of you. So please feel free to make contact with me. You can ask me any questions you like, and we can dive into some cool topics. We've got a couple of hours to play with this afternoon. And so, yeah, we can do quite a bit. All right, two female impalas also coming into the frame now. All right, so that one elephant's got pretty impressive tusks there. The one under that big tree. I think it might very well be a boerbean tree. They're pretty common in the KwaZulu-Natal region. Franny, that's a very nice question. You know, I'm convinced that animals can pick up on your energy, and elephants being extremely smart animals, we know that they're smart. But do we really know how smart they are? I don't think so. So elephants, they can definitely pick up on your mood. They can pick up if you're nervous. And you often see this in game reserves when you have guides that are fairly new to the game reserve, and it's almost as if the elephants know. and they go feed right next to the vehicle and really put that guy to the test. Now, the best thing you can do is if you ever do have an elephant sighting, is just to relax, keep calm. There are a few signs to look out for, elephant bulls that might be in must, and you'll be able to see this quite clearly by, the leaking of the temporal glands, which are situated right next to their eyes on each side. It's called a temporal gland, and those bulls, they secrete this temporin oil. It's what we call must. You've got to be careful of those bulls now. And then any animal with calves or babies, just keep a nice fair distance. And then most importantly as well is injured animals. You've got to be careful of injured animals. Jive Bunny. Well, I was trying to remember the other day of all the viewers that I can remember by name, and I must say you were one of the names that I did remember. But it's amazing after, what is it, 5 months or so, you get into a different rhythm, and yeah, so there's a lot of rust and some oil on the joints that is needed. But the only way to do that is to dive into it, and that's exactly what I'm doing. But thank you very much for your warm welcome there. It's nice to be representing Wild Earth and nature this afternoon. So, yeah, keep watching, keep the questions coming. All right, so there's a fair amount of things happening around here. These elephants, they are really enjoying this waterhole. Yesterday, we spent some time here as well. And for those that did watch yesterday, you're probably aware that I had a few microphone issues or something was going on. I really hope it's much better this morning or this afternoon. And I'm pretty sure Nadine or Chulu, who's on duty at the final control, will let me know if there's a problem. So far, it seems like it's all good. So I think the amendments that I made yesterday did the trick. Right now, when we look at elephants, I think for a lot of people that go on safari, usually when you leave the game reserve and you go back to your life or your home, one of the animals that always leaves you with amazing memories is elephants because they do so many amazing things, and just seeing such a large, tremendously large animal, it's difficult not to forget the experience that you had with them. So, I mean, I can go on and on about all the different experiences that I've had with elephants over the years, as well as our final controllers. They watch what we watch every single day, and they've experienced a lot as well. But I would like to hear from all of you. What sort of experiences have you had with elephants, whether it be a good experience or a bad experience, what you learned from that experience? Because you always take something away from every sighting you have with an animal. Sometimes you won't even know it. But other times you definitely feel that you are getting something from that sighting or that experience. So please let me know. Keep that coming through. Darcy, good afternoon to you. Yes, Maya, she's behind me. And for those that don't know, Maya is my very obedient, gorgeous little dog. Yeah, she's pretty much by my side every time I'm at home. So whenever you see me, you'll definitely see her. So she's behind me. Shame we were trying to do checks earlier on with Chulu. And Maya, because I had my back to her, She climbed over my shoulder and she sort of surprised myself and Chulu while we were doing checks. I wish you could have seen that. It was so funny. Okay, so definitely these look like bulls of different age groups. Yeah, it's the same group that we saw in this area yesterday. And judging by the environment here, it seems like it's pretty lush. So for these elephants to go missioning around the bush, looking for different things to eat and different places to drink water, why? Why would they want to do that when it's all here happening? And there's not much that's going to try and challenge an elephant, and they really know this. So they sometimes, especially bulls and bachelor groups, they find a spot and they hang around the spot for a while. But it's not going to be like that indefinitely. They will definitely move patterns from winter to summer. It does change their patterns of movement. So I think I'll begin. I spoke a little bit earlier on about some of the experiences and memories that you have of elephants. And as I was saying that, the most recent, most spectacular memory I have of some elephants was actually recent, down at Amakala Game Reserve with Morgan. Oh, when was it? I can't even remember. Maybe Nadine can help me out there, or Chulu, when those two elephant bulls were having a major fight. Now, when I speak about it being a good memory for me, it doesn't, I'm not saying that I was happy that they were fighting or anything like that. It was to see the way they were fighting, because most of the time you just see elephants headbutting and pushing each other around, and it's not too serious. But to see a fight like that, I've only seen it 3 or 4 times in 18 years, where you see two elephant bulls really just going after each other. And as soon as one elephant tries to turn, which signifies that or signals that it wants to try and move away and run away, and that other elephant tried to come in and stab it from the side. It was incredible. So there we have a bit of sparring happening at the moment. There's two bulls just having an arm wrestle match, sort of speak. Yeah, another spectacular sighting I had of elephants. I was only working in the bush for about 3 years. Can you believe it? And I got to witness elephants or an elephant giving birth. And what a memory that was, because we were the vehicle that initially found the sighting. And so we managed to get into a position where the elephants accepted us. We were with them for about 20 minutes. And any game reserve protocol is, if you have a sighting of certain species of animals, you must call it in on the main radio. So I did that, called in on the main radio, and then there was a few vehicles within the vicinity. One of them tried to make an approach, but those elephants said, "Not today," and chased that vehicle away. That vehicle tried to make another approach, went around another angle, but the elephants chased him away again. So he decided, no, he's not going to risk it. He's going to leave the area. So he left, didn't try and push it, which was good. Then about 20 minutes later, another vehicle came and tried to see if they could get in, and those elephants turned and charged him. That particular guide only stuck around for that one charge, and then said, no, he's not going to stick around. He's leaving. So he left. So now it's back to us, all alone with this elephants, and they never even looked at us. They never worried about us for 1 second, and we got to watch the entire experience all alone. For about 2 hours, we watched this from the point where this calf was had, or this female elephant had given birth, and this little baby elephant got out the birth sack, and it took about maybe an hour for this elephant to get on its feet and wobbled around a little bit with the adults trying to hold it up. And not just the mother, it was other individuals who were holding this elephant up. Incredible. I've never seen that since. All right, so we've spent quite a bit of time here with these elephant bulls here at Tembe. Let's head off to the Olifants River. Let's go see what's going on there. Okay, it seems like today is definitely a good day for watching elephants. And of course, at Olifants River, there is definitely no shortage of seeing elephants. So, yeah, we're going to spend a bit of time here. We're just going to watch them. Seems like they have maybe just arrived over here not too long ago. Okay, just by looking a little bit more, I think they've been here for a bit more time than what I estimated. I see some elephants have already got some mud on their backs. They've already done a good spray. And then some of them just standing around, and then two others are drinking. So they've probably been here for some time. Hello, Jive Bunny. This is a great experience. Also for me, I get to sit here and just really enjoy. Even though I'm at home and nature's not too far from where I'm at, I always feel a little bit awkward being out of the bush. So it's nice just to spend a bit of time here with you all. The last time I was out here by the Olifants River, wow, it was, we're talking at least 12 years ago. It's been a while. But the Olifants River, it does flood sometimes. So at the moment, this river is looking very, very good, full of water. But believe you me, sometimes this river does get a bit more fuller than this. I don't think very often it goes totally dry. I might be mistaken about that. Now, sometimes when you come to these riverine areas, you must look very, very carefully because this becomes a habitat in itself, these riverine areas. Birding is obviously phenomenal and other things, and animals need water. So if there's a river nearby, potentially you can see some amazing things. But there's an animal that we don't often see in the bush. I don't know if Wild Earth has ever managed to get it on screen. Probably have. It's the Cape clawless otters, and they are really, really special to see. If you have ever seen them, you are lucky. They're very secretive and they're very smart animals. They don't like to be seen. You often see their footprints, and sometimes some of the shells from the crabs, the crustaceans that they manage to eat, but you just don't see them. Hello, Jay Connor. Thank you for your question. Yes, there is various different schools or training academies that you can go to become a guide. It's not imperative that you go to these training academies. You can write an exam and hope that you pass that exam with enough studying. But ultimately, to go through an academy or a training provider is the best way to go, because every day you're learning, every day you're looking at nature. And for a lot of people, they've never really spend time learning about nature. So most of the time, everything that they learn is new. And I often say to people that I've trained in the past, because you spend an extensive period of time, almost 2 months sometimes in the bush, learning every day, and things become a bit overwhelming for some of the people. All this learning, all this sometimes very technical stuff. But I often fall back and I say to them, how often in your life do you get a chance to learn every single day for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever the time frame is? It's not very often. So yeah, through these training academies, you'll definitely get a lot more insight into the bush. You've got dedicated trainers or instructors that will enhance the whole experience of learning and prepare you for the exam. So yeah, I would definitely advise that. But I became a naturalist. I think I was born a naturalist. This is all I've ever wanted to do, to be honest with you. I was very small, very young man when I was talking about going into the bush. And I think everybody's dream when they're young is to be a game ranger. So that's what I wanted to be. And I eventually became a guide. First, I joined an anti-poaching unit, and I only lasted 6 months because it was a bit rough. I won't lie, it wasn't for me. So I lasted about 6 months, and yeah, I went and I joined an academy. I qualified and finished my exam and all of that, and got ready for the bush, got employed, and I've never looked back. Nara S. Okay, so my highlight so far this year. Oh wow, what was my highlight this year? Give me 2 or 3 minutes to think about that. Yeah, I think I can answer that. I think for not just this year, but for my life, heading out to Mashatu, the northern Tule, it's a total different world out there. It really, really is. And for any of you that have been out there, you'll know very well what I'm talking about. Very wild, not many roads. And where we were, the nearest lodge was so far away. So you really out in the bundus. And that was definitely my experience this year. Highlights of all highlights was heading out to Botswana. What about you, Nora S? What has been your highlight this year? Let me know. Doesn't need to be animal related. You can be anything really. And I think we're going to ask Nadine. I know Nadine is at final control this morning. I'm sure her head is lifted up now and her ears are all pointed out because you've heard that I've mentioned her name. So I think yesterday I gave Nadine a little bit of troubles with the microphone. So maybe she can tell me what her highlight this year has been. I'm just trying to think, what are these elephants planning on doing? Are they going to cross the river and carry on over? Or are they going to reverse from where they are now and go back the way they came? By the looks of it, it seems like they're going to cross the river. Okay, that elephant's on the far left-hand side. See what it's doing there, lifting up its trunk. It's trying to smell something, or it has already smelled something. Okay, seems like they're going to cross over. Easy crossing for them. This is nothing compared to what they can cross. You'd be surprised. Elephants going through some really deep water. Jive Bunny, thanks for that information. Good to know that you've seen a fair amount of giraffes. And speaking about that, there they are at the back there. Isn't that cool, eh? Just like that. 3 giraffes sticking out there. Looks like a few impalas there as well. And they're all heading the same direction, forward, which is a good direction to move. Erica Oldno, you say it's cold there. Yes, I actually spoke to Chris yesterday. Or was it yesterday? Day before yesterday, he gave me a phone call. And he was saying to me how terrible the weather was out in the Western Cape. Lots of rain and cold and so on over the last few days. So do keep warm, keep dry. Make sure that if you have any pets, that they're not cold and freezing. But I have no doubt that they are cold in your house. I'm sure you're cuddled up nicely to them. But I think a lot of the Cape region, Eastern Cape, Western Cape, yeah, we are seeing some extreme weather at the moment. Shame, I often think about Eric and Morgan out at Amakala. They must be freezing. And we definitely look forward to summer, but we've just head into winter, so we can't now be wishing for summer so soon. We need to embrace this winter, enjoy it because it is a season, and it does have its times when it's enjoyable. Right, Jake Connor, that's also a good question you're asking. I've never been to the Serengeti, but what I've seen on videos and what people have told me about the area, there's a lot of game, tremendous amounts of it. Oh, look at that that elephant just trying to reach just above that browse line. And it's going to need to really stretch out to try and get those leaves. Don't get me wrong, the Kruger National Park is also very abundant, but I think compared to East Africa, I don't think there is a comparison. It's just a totally different environment, and they're both just so brilliant, really. I was up at Pafuri not too long ago, up in the northern parts of Kruger, exploring there. And it's very, very nice up there. I don't know if any of you have been that side, northern Kruger, but yeah, it's a world on its own there. Right, so this very clear line that you're seeing just above that elephant's trunk, this is evidence that the elephants have come along here, they've browsed as far as they can possibly browse, and now they're going to need to either stretch out or wait for those green shoots to pop through there. Now, it's interesting, in the minor pools area, elephants have adapted to shifting their weight on their hind legs. So they literally uh, push their bodies up, lift their front legs off the ground, and they're able to reach some of that vegetation. It's very, very interesting. All right. So Nadine has told me her, oh, that's such a nice photo. Her highlight of the year. So her highlight regarding animals was seeing the red colobus monkey. And remember, they are critically endangered. They were almost on the brink of extinction at one point. So that's a very cool thing that you saw. Okay, and then you went to Juma in May and got to meet, Tlamba, and you went on your first drive. Nadine, how can that be your first drive? No, 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 no. You must come on drives more often if you can. I know it's not always that easy, but yeah, it's nice that you went out there. All right, Nadine, thank you for that. Chulu, what has been your highlight this year, Chulu? Right, so Chulu is actually on, he's the director for the afternoon. So him and I, we're working quite closely together here. And for many of you who might be new, you might be hearing me mentioning some of the names, Nadine, Chulu, etc. So these are our directors that are critical to what we do out here, all the communications and all of that. It wouldn't be possible to do what we do without them. So let's take a moment and also just give our directors, a bit of appreciation for what they do. It's not always games. Sometimes it is very stressful for them, especially when things are not going according to plan, which is usually most of the time. So yeah, very loyal bunch, and I appreciate every one of you. Okay, Chulu has just given me his highlight of the year, and that was seeing Columba's Cubs. Yes, I've been watching all the screenshots. Wow, it's so cool. Shame she's doing so well. And yeah, no, no, definitely a hub that, eh? So well done, Chulu. Look at this elephant moving the sticks out the way there. Okay, there's something I want to talk about, and it's a term that maybe some of you have heard, some of you haven't heard, but it's called an elephant pantry. I'm going to let that sink in for a second. Now, what an elephant pantry is, now, often when elephants are feeding, sometimes they're going to push trees down and bushes over. And what happens is, with time, grass starts to grow through the branches of that pushed over branch or bush or tree, and no other animals can reach it. Then an elephant comes along and sees that grass over this pushed over tree and then takes the tree and then pulls it out the way, or the bush, and literally pulls it out the way. And they feed on those green grasses. So when we think about, some of the activities that elephants do when they feed, and they do break vegetation and things like that, that at a later stage they can always come back to those pantries because there will be green grasses growing through there that other animals can't necessarily get to. And it's believed that they get to map out where these pantries are in the area or the environments where they're moving around. And when they're hungry and they think to themselves, all right, let's get some green grass. I know where there's a little patch growing under a bush that's been pushed over. Let me go over there while I'm in the area. It's very fascinating. Canine Gold, yes, these scenes here are very fascinating and it's beautiful. I'm just watching this elephant reaching. I've always enjoyed watching this when elephants reach all the way up there. When you look at the size of an elephant, it must be quite a confident feeling, thinking to yourself, okay, I'm 5 tons, for example, nothing really is going to mess with me. But it's a huge animal. They are such heavy-bodied animals. And they make walking through the bush look so easy, but it can be quite challenging for them, being such big animals. They need to feed lots per day. They need to drink lots of water per day. So their needs are great. And that puts them under a bit of stress sometimes. right, so there's Maya in the background. I'm pretty sure you heard her there. Come on, Maya. Hey. All right, it was before that happened. Well, you've all heard Maya, and she gave you all a friendly bark there. So she's gone off to go investigate whatever it is that's bothering her. We'll. Catherine, you want to see what they see in minor pools when the elephants pull themselves up off their hind legs? Well, you never know. If the elephants there have learned to do it, there's no reason why these elephants shouldn't learn to do it. And they will if they have to, believe you me. They are the type of animals that are just true survivors. They just continue to find new ways. When you look at, elephants and how adaptable they are, I mean, in some areas I've seen elephants climb mountains. Some areas elephants have become desert adapted. Okay, like out in the areas of Namibia and certain portions of Kalahari. And then there are some elephants that live entirely in forests, known as the forest elephant, Knysna forest elephant. And there are going to be very few of you that have ever seen them because there is not a lot of sightings per year of them. Sometimes multiple years go by where the Knysna forest elephant have not been seen. No signs of them, no dungs, no tracks that they think that they're extinct from the area. And then suddenly, they'll suddenly be a photo taken on a trip camera or a trail camera and reveals that they are still wandering around those areas. Just people are not able to pick up on any of the signs, which is interesting because they're huge animals. You would think you'd hear them, you'd find their signs, but it's not always the case. Sometimes elephants adapt themselves to become very secretive. Look at that elephant there, just resting its trunk there on the tusk. All right, so I think we're going to change. Let's head over to Africam's Tower Lodge and see what's happening. Okay, we're on a hat trick now. 3 in a row, 3 different locations, and yeah, very nice elephant viewing. This is Madikwe Game Reserve in the northwest province of South Africa. Okay, so earlier on we had a bachelor group of bulls, and that's not the case now. We've got a small little breeding herd. So this is what we call a family unit. And they're going to stay together for as long as some of those young bull calves get to a certain age. As the females within the family group, they're going to stay with the family group more than likely. All right, looks like a Natal spurfowl just walking by there as well. Nice. Let's take a nice close-up of this elephant. Thanks very much, Chulu, controlling the camera this afternoon. Good framing there. Look at that elephant biting the end of its trunk, it looks like. So a very unique physical adaptation that elephants have got is having a trunk, which is essentially, an extension, so almost like a hand, um, and its way of drinking water, and the trunk being situated right on the front of the face comes with a lot of challenges. The trunk is so heavy. With adult bulls, the trunk can weigh up to 70 kilograms, 80 kilograms, just the trunk. So it's very heavy and it can get awkward at times. Catherine, that's fascinating that you have seen elephants on their hind legs, you say out in Namibia and the Zambezi. Okay, well, that makes sense, especially around the Namibian area, because I would imagine that some of that vegetation is pretty hard to reach out there, and the vegetation is so sparse. And then you've been out to Zambezi. That must have been an experience on itself. Yeah, it's one of my biggest dreams to head out to Zambia. It's a very far place to go to. Some black wildebeest, some plain zebra right in the back there. When I think of the times that I've actually spent at Madikwe Game Reserve, I've seen so much different wildlife there over the different stints and over the years that I have been going out to Madikwe. I've been out there about 4 or 5 times, and in total, I've probably spent about, I would estimate, maybe about 6 months in total with all those stints put together, freelancing and doing that sort of a thing. And I managed to see an African civet the one day. First, we were watching lions. That's what we were there for. We were watching lions, and they were sleeping, doing nothing. And then in the distance, we saw an African civet walking straight to these lions. And the lions, they started to pick up their heads and pick up their ears, and they became aware of this African civet. And the African civet had no clue that it's walking straight towards the pride of lions. And eventually, when this African civet came along and saw these lions, and the lions got up, this African civet proceeded to run away. But the distress call that I heard come from this African civet, it was something that you don't expect. It's a very loud sound, almost trumpet-like sound, almost. I'm not going to mimic it because it's a very difficult one to mimic. But perhaps if you want to go into your Google and take a listen to what they sound like when they're in distress, crazy sound. Managed to see a caracal at Madikwe as well. That caracal was hunting a group of impala, and there were some impala lambs at that time of the year. I don't know, this young elephant here that's by himself there is, I don't know, it seems like he's got a naughty idea in his mind there. I just see that blacksmith lapwing walking around there. I know it's flown off. But for a moment there, that young elephant calf was looking intently at that blacksmith lapwing, and sometimes will even run after them. Jive Bunny, thanks a lot for that. I'm glad you appreciate the stories that I give you. There are so many, and I don't know if Mission or our final controllers, our directors, know this. Um, and yeah, it might be a good idea to break the news now. But in the next 2 years, will mark 20 years that I've been in the bush, and I plan to write a book. Um, I'm not doing it to make money or anything like that. I just want people to read my story. So I'm going to make a few copies and pretty much give them to people. And yeah, the whole point about it is not to be famous or anything like that. That is definitely not the reason why I'm doing it. I want to write this book because I want people to know what I've been up to, and I want a way of documenting that for other generations to read. And so I'll be doing that. I've got a few images that I'm going to put in there. Look at this elephant using its mom as a scratching post there. Very convenient. And I've also collected a lot of my little letters that guests have given me over the years. I've got a file full of them. And so these are going to be scanned and put in there. Some of the funny little notes that people have given me, little letters. The shopping list, I call it the shopping list. And this was when a guest came up to me with a piece of paper, very small piece of paper, and there were animals written on that paper. And this is what he wanted to see while he was here. And there were some very difficult things to find on this letter, on this little note. And I showed the tracker, and the tracker said to me, "This is a shopping list," and I found that very funny. So I call it the shopping list, and that's going to be put into my book as well. All right, these elephants seem like they are pretty much finished at the waterhole, slowly moving away. All right, what have you spotted for us there? Got some birds and bird watching. Okay, let's see what we're gonna look at here. So just let you know, Final Control is busy controlling the camera. They're doing a pretty good job at it. Oh my goodness, lots of different things happening here. The elephants feeding on the tree line, all these white rocks all over the show. Now look how well camouflaged that zebra is in that bush over there, that plain zebra. Standing dead still, or was standing dead still, and really blends into the environment pretty well. Now if you have a look at this female elephant on the left-hand side there, you'll notice there's some temporin oil flowing out of there. So that is not a sign of must. Females do not go into must. Okay. They don't have testosterone spikes like the males do. What that could indicate is, stress. It could be mood, could be, excited, excitedness. It could be sadness. It could be stress. You never know. Maybe they came across an elephant bull last night or early this morning, or perhaps they walked into a pride of lions, caused a little bit of stress. And sometimes you see those temporin oil glands starting to leak with females as well. Okay, I'm just looking at the hill over there. I'm seeing a bit of heat waves. What is that? Is that a dust storm? I thought something was going terribly wrong my side, but it looks like it was a dust storm that just pulled through there. It's pretty crazy. All right, one of the sunbirds calling in the background. I think it might be a white-bellied sunbird. Okay, so looks can be deceiving. So as you know, we were zoomed in closer to those hills earlier on. We noticed some of the heat waves and things like that. But we midwinter now, or sort of heading towards the middle mark. Madikwe Game Reserve, it gets cold in the winter. The last time I was there, which was this time last year, I don't think I've ever been so cold in my entire life. Going out on game drive with 6 layers on. Can you believe it? Yo, gloves, beanie, scarves, the full toot. But now in summer, this area becomes very, very hot. So you got to also sometimes think about the animals, how strong and resilient that they are in surviving harsh summers, very, very cold winters. It sounds like a yellow-breasted apellis calling in the background there. Erica Oldno, thank you for that motivation. You definitely want me to go for it. Yeah, I'm definitely going to go for it. No doubt about that. It's not going to be perfectly written, but it's going to be written, and that's definitely what counts. Still thinking of a name of it. So if you all have any suggestions on a good name for a book based on 20 years of being in the bush that is catchy for the book, please let me know. I might very well use it. And if I do use it, I will send you a copy. Personally, I will send you a copy. I think these zebras are really enjoying the sun over here. They've got no intention of being in the shade. And something you'll notice with most of the wildlife, have a look at the that dazzle of zebra. One thing you'll definitely notice is they all face different directions. And we see this commonly with animals that are in a group, that there's no point in all facing the same direction. That is useless. It's not going to work. Predators are going to sneak up from other angles. So you all got to face different directions. And with everybody focusing on different angles, you really cover all the sides. And sometimes, like you'll notice with that zebra at the far back, and they'll find a nice little position and they will tripod their heads over another zebra's back. Okay, good stuff. Glad we saw these zebras. I think let's head over to Kenya now. Let's go to Oldonyo. Let's go see what is happening there. All right, very nice spotting Chulu. So yeah, this dam is quite an interesting dam. I really enjoy it. I think everything goes well here. The position where this dam is in the bush, the position of the camera. This is lovely. Look at this. This is very, very interesting. These red-billed oxpeckers, they are not going to let go of their hosts very easily, it seems. Makes a lot of sense. Now, you'd be surprised how many parasites are going to be on these giraffe. And recently I read they estimate for a healthy, yeah, buffalo and giraffe are the same from what I read. For a healthy individual, they estimate around about 2,000 ticks on the body for a healthy individual. Anything more than that is too much, and they can get sick and so on. But they can easily handle at least 2,000 ticks on their body. Now, as a human, you get one tick on your body and you don't know about it. It's not going to take very long for that tick to make you sick. So this giraffe that's drinking now is chosen a good time to drink. Everybody else is watching his back and looking out for predators. He's going to drink, and yeah, surely someone is going to see something. But we find this with giraffe. But what I've always wondered is, when giraffe are drinking, you find that they're not all going to drink at the same time. They all take turns, and they almost relay. But how do they figure that it's their time to now lift their head and look out for predators and allow the other giraffes to drink? Do they have a system? Or is it, okay, I've just drunk now, that other giraffe needs to drink, let me lift my head and just watch out? I would love to know how they organize it. Because nothing is ever random in nature. This is something that you'll notice is there's things are done in a specific way for a specific reason. All right, so this other giraffe deciding to come back to drink, and I don't blame her. She's pregnant, so she is supporting two people at the moment, so to speak, herself and then her young calf that is not yet born. Okay, here comes the eland now. You see how pregnant that giraffe is in the back there. Look at this eland. Very powerful looking animal, isn't it? They are extremely powerful antelopes. Ah, beautiful framing. Very nice job. So you're looking at about, I would estimate, roughly about between, I would say, between 700 and 800 kilograms over here. So of the antelopes, definitely eland is going to be the largest of all antelopes. They are so powerful, but being a big animal, we think that they are limited, but they're not actually. You'd be surprised how high eland can actually jump. Now, their tendons on their legs are very elastic, and it helps them very much in jumping. Now, eland have said to jump about 2 meters from a sitting down position. They're able to jump. 2 meters high. It's a very high height from sitting down. Mindy, you enjoy the giraffes. I think at this waterhole especially, it's quite nice to see them because they're so close. Very, very healthy looking elanthus. That oxpecker busy grooming away. This is actually a good example of how they comb the ticks out the body. Watch that oxpecker very carefully. They don't pick ticks; they comb ticks off the body. And watch how it's doing it. Okay. Now the eland is moving off there. Getting a little bit annoyed. Sometimes I'll just try and get them to go off their back. It's very, very nice job keeping up with this giraffe and the oxpeckers there. Right, now this is where it becomes tricky my side. Bird watching out in Kenya is something I haven't done. So let me see if I can try and identify these birds. Okay, so of course the blue one is going to be a starling of sort. Give me some time. I'm just wondering if these are not the Rupel starling. Okay. Nice big piece of elephant dung in the background as well. Okay, I think these are Rupel starlings. And I see the greater blue-eared glossy starling also occurs out there, but it doesn't look like it could be this one. Or it might. Yeah, this is where I might need some of your assistance. Okay, and they seem to have moved off for now. Let's just keep panning here. Let's see what else could be around here. She is very pregnant. Look at that tummy there. My goodness. Okay, so it's about a 15 months gestation period. So in estimation, I'm by no means a vet over here, but her stomach is bulging out there. So I would reckon she's going to give birth within the next maybe month and a bit, maybe 5 weeks or so at most. And she's not the only pregnant one there. There's another one just beyond her and is also pregnant. And we often see this with giraffes. Sometimes, they synchronize their estrous cycles and they fall pregnant at the same time. So by that happening, the calves that are born, they grow up together and they're able to form things like nursery herds. And this is where a mother will leave her calf with other calves and she'll go feeding, leaving the calf in the parental care of another adult with other calves. Very curious animals. You definitely find that giraffe, they're very, very curious. And sometimes when they stare out into the bush, they usually see something. And it's always a good idea if you have in a game reserve and you do see a giraffe staring, or multiple, that's even better, multiple giraffes staring. You must investigate that and go and figure out what is it that the giraffe are watching. Canine girl. All right. So, what is the hardest subject while learning about the bush? Ooh, the hardest subject. Well, I think for everyone is different in their own way. One of the subjects I really battle in is geology and astronomy as well. Especially astronomy. I battle to relate to the information that I learn because it's just so vast out there. Yeah, it boggles the mind what could be out there in space. But to try and relate to this information, it's very difficult. Some people relate to it extremely well. Ben is one of them. He's actually a very experienced stargazer and astronomer in South Africa. He's very well known for it. And just some of the things that he knows, I often wonder, how did you even begin to learn that? It's very technical. And then geology, but I've just had an experience with someone. His name is John, who awakened this interest in me for geology, because you often find that if there's something that you don't really understand, you try and ignore it. And it's a difficult thing because, as interpreters of the wild, at some point you're going to need to interpret things that you might not be comfortable in doing so. So, yeah, spending a bit of time listening to this one gentleman by the name of John and him talking about geology. And it's all got to do with the way the person's explaining it to you, because the way he explains it makes it very easy to understand. And some of these books that I read about geology, very technical stuff. Not good. All right, I'm sure you saw that, but yeah, this giraffe is busy ruminating right now. That food or the bolus went down for a few moments and then came shooting straight back up the neck. And it's going to be rechewed. Now, watch carefully, watch carefully. Okay, so I don't know, I didn't see the bolus come up there. So sometimes they just stop chewing and grinding down that material, but other times they're busy in the process of ruminating. And yeah, it's a very, very complex thing that happens. Is There it goes down. Let's watch. And there it comes back up. Pretty crazy. Yeah, so there's a complex of four chambers in the stomach. Many people make the wrong idea or get the wrong idea that they've got four stomachs. That's not quite right. So they have one stomach, but there's four chambers within the stomach. And the food basically filters through each chamber after coming back up and being rechewed finer, and eventually it leaves the system in a powder pellet, if you will, very, very finely chewed down. So obviously a very, very tall animal. I think the screen is just it's panning and panning and panning, and eventually we reach the head over here. But a very interesting animal. If we look at giraffe, how they have survived, I don't know. They've managed to figure out a way to do so. But Yeah, to have an animal with such a long neck, I'm very surprised they've survived for the time that they have. And, big ups to them that they've managed to do that. Not quite sure what this giraffe has actually seen. She's been staring the same direction for quite some time. Probably find that there's some other giraffes that are coming down to the water. It could be anything really coming down. And that's the one thing that giraffe can expect is the presence of other animals wanting to come to the water as well, because other animals would also like some water. You can see that very, very focused. Now, sometimes, when the animals, and especially giraffe, when they do see a predator, sometimes you do find that they start walking towards the predator. And, I've heard people over the years when I've taken them on safari saying that they don't seem like they're very bright or whatever the case may be. It's very smart what they're doing. They are walking closer to get a better angle, to get a better look. What's the best way of looking after yourself around predators is to keep your eye on the predator if it's around. So what they're trying to avoid is losing sight completely of that predator. And sometimes I'll actually follow it and watch it move out the area. And you often find this with other animals as well. Say there was some impala or some other antelopes. Sometimes, the predator is very close, but not showing sign that it's interested in them. And the impalas or whatever the antelope is just stare away at them and not looking stressed at all. What is key is that they have a distance between each other. And, the animals have realized that, if they keep a respectable distance, that they're able to run and gather top speed and then fly out the area essentially. And you don't allow those predators to get too close in that ambushing sort of formation. So as long as they're a respectable distance away, there's no panic. Just keep an eye. All right, so this young bull giraffe is definitely focused on something. All senses are facing towards the direction that he's looking. So ears are all facing forward, and he's even walking closer. So I'm not quite sure what it might be. I don't think it's too dangerous, whatever it is, because everybody else is quite relaxed, but he's definitely seen something. Look out for this behavior in the future when you go into game reserves. Giraffes, they are very vigilant. And if anything is walking around, it will be giraffe that will see those animals. Use them as the indicator. Okay, so a couple of them are retreating now. What is happening here? Could there be predators coming down? There could be. Okay, we just want to move the camera all the way down to the one side there. So sorry if we're blocking your view there. Yeah, something is happening. Something is around here. Okay, now they're bolting. Guinea fowls are all alarm calling. All right, so what do you all think could be around here? There's definitely a predator of sorts around here. Even the eland now has run away. Giraffe now, they're hightailing it out into the bush there. They're gone now. I think there could be a pride of lion that might be coming down, or maybe a lioness or a male lion, a singular. Okay, so we're gonna just need to keep it a little bit wide for you all and see if we don't see something come down here. You hear those helmeted guinea fowls? They are not happy, and they're also pretty good indicators. Not always. Sometimes they do get into a panic for what seems like no reason. But in a situation like this, where the giraffes have now run off, those guinea fowls have seen something as well. Luna, do you think it could be a troop of baboons? I mean, I don't see giraffe feeling too threatened by a troop of baboon. I know that when it comes to impalas and when impalas have got lambs, I know baboons they can be a threat to those impala lambs. We're just going to go all the way to the side here. But no, I don't think a baboon will ever try and snatch a baby giraffe or whatever the case may be. I think that is really risking it. Yeah, that mother giraffe is going to try and chop on that baboon with its hooves. And if it comes right, it will kill that baboon immediately with one chop. So I don't think baboon will try anything. Now, sometimes you'll find that when predators are walking to a waterhole with the intent to drink water, they don't just V-line straight in. Sometimes they do when they're very thirsty and depending on what's on their mind. And sometimes they walk closer to the waterhole and then just lay down in the shade nearby. And they allow all the animals to come and, drink and so on. And they can watch those animals and see where they move off to. And then when conditions become favorable to hunt, i.e. the nighttime, they know where those groups of animals have gone. And they can track them again. And I think, if I was an animal that was a prey to certain predators, I think for me personally, I think if I went to a waterhole, I will drink quickly and then I'll quickly move off. It's not a place you want to hang around. These predators, they figure out those are hot spots. Good place, ambushing. waiting for animals to come down and drink. All right, what bird have we got coming in here? Okay, so things have suddenly gone quiet. We are going to go to another camera quickly, but I can assure you Jordan is going to monitor this camera and see if whatever is around that area doesn't come down to drink. But in the meantime, let's head off to the next camera. Madikwe, got some elephants here. Yeah, today has been a spectacular day of elephants. Looks like a African shelduck in the foreground there. Yeah, two very young bull elephants moving along there. Blacksmith lapwing, looks like the blackwing stilt in the background. But when it comes to these African shelducks, I want to ask a question to all of you. Do you know where African shelducks enjoy nesting? I think you'll be quite surprised if you don't know. Do some research if you want. I'll be here. When you're ready, send in your answers. All right, let's follow these elephants. Let's see where they want to head off to. Holly, you're the first answer to come in. So African shelducks will use other nests in trees sometimes, but it's not their preferred habit or their preferred nesting place. They like to nest somewhere else. I'll give you a bit more time. Gina, thanks for your input there as well. So yeah, we'll call them ground nesters. Okay, and then Granny Mango, you have got it correct. I'm just going to wait a few more moments for a few more answers to come in. Right, it's a grey heron right in the center. Catherine, you got it right as well. Jive Bunny, I definitely agree with you. Yeah, to be able to connect people with nature, and that's what Wild Earth has been doing for all these years, is connecting people with nature, and they're doing a really good job at it. I still remember when I was much younger in my career, I mean, to think of myself as a Wild Earth naturalist. was a dream for me. And I can imagine for all of you to be able to join this, especially on the weekends for free, you say, on Saturdays and Sundays. It's quite a nice thing. What better way to spend a weekend than by watching some damn cams? Because in all honesty, if we think of the television nowadays and what they play on television, it's ridiculous. I would much rather be watching something like this. All right, so Granny Mango and Catherine, you got it 100% right. Well done. So African shell ducks, they actually enjoy nesting in disused aardvark burrows. Find a hole in the ground made by an aardvark at some point, and we'll go in there, and if it's suitable, it will make a nest in there. I have experienced them out in another region in the Kalahari where the shell ducks decided to nest in a sociable weaver nest, but I don't think that's very common, to be honest with you. All right, getting the best of both here, getting a bit of the zebras, getting a bit of the African shell ducks as well. Quite nice to be watching them both at the same time there. Although the shell ducks are fast asleep there, enjoying that piece of mud there, it seems. Right, so now Madikwe Game Reserve, if some of you are not quite familiar of where it's positioned, it's really not far from Botswana. Gaborone in one portion of the game reserve that is going to be is at the northwestern part of the game reserve of Madikwe. Gaborone is just around the corner. You can actually see the lights and some of the buildings there. But it's a fairly big reserve. As far as I remember, it's something like 40,000 hectares or something like that. So that's ginormous. Is a fairly large reserve. And one of the animals out there, which Madikwe Game Reserve is very well known for, almost famous for, is wild dogs. And they have tremendous wild dog sightings out there when they're active. And they're very successful on Madikwe. And it's almost, I'm not going to say a guarantee, that's such a terrible word to use. But if you follow the dogs for enough time, there's a very good chance that you'll see them hunting something. And it happens so quickly. And they run off after that prey, and that prey runs off as well. Then you must know the chase is on. And if you can't keep up with them, you will get left behind, and they will be gone in a flash. Liz, yeah, in Madikwe Game Reserve there is wild dogs. The sightings I've had of wild dogs there, phenomenal sightings. I think, yeah, between here and Kruger Park, is the best wild dog viewing that I've experienced. But it's all about timing. You can go spend a month there and you might not see wild dog. You might go there for your first day, go on your first game drive, and you might see the wild dog. So these are things that you can't really plan. None of it is plannable, really. Okay, Free Spirit, thank you for for letting me know about that. So yeah, you just mentioned that last night there was a sighting of a baby rhino out at Ukukuyo. That's something to be seen, isn't it? Very, very special. And for some of you that might be wondering, you know, in some of the cameras, or some of the locations, we do show rhino. Ukukuyo is one of them. And I know in the live drives and so on, they've also implemented that quite recently. And I can promise you, that, those rhinos out in Namibia, in Tosha, they are so carefully monitored, and that's why they don't mind if we are at Ukukuyo, that if a black rhino comes around there, that they don't mind that we do show it, because make no mistake that there are efficient teams that do protect the rhinos out there, so they're quite comfortable with it. And that's the only reason why I'm mentioning it now, really. But it's interesting that there was that happening there last night. Molly, most definitely, both of the areas that you're mentioning, Tau and Oldonyo, there's definitely leopard. Um, I never saw leopard at Madikwe Game Reserve when I was with Wild Earth, but a few years back I managed to see one. And then, yeah, I've had people that have gone out and done trips at Madikwe, and they've shown me photographs of incredible leopard sightings that they've had. So, yeah, most definitely. I mean, leopard sightings, even in the areas where leopards are very, densely populated, like at Juma, it's most times, they do see leopard out there, but some days, some multiple days go by and there's not a single track of the animal seen. So some areas definitely is going to be a lot more easier to see leopard, whereas other areas it's not going to be as easy. Now, as far as what my memory remembers, Madikwe used to be, some portions of it used to be old cattle farms. So I think some of the wildlife may still be a little bit nervous, with the exception of a few individual. But a few years ago, talking about 12 years ago, there used to be a caramel sort of leopard, very, very different sort of coloring. And that was the leopard that I managed to see. She was laying right in the middle of the road. I didn't have guests. I just set up a bush dinner for another guide. And so they went along there and had dinner, and I drove back to the lodge and then came across this leopard laying right in the middle of the road. Cheetahs and other animals. Yeah, you say it's it's a lovely herd of prison ponies. Yeah, they've been good to us today. Even the wildebeest, they're coming in here. They're also curious as to what we're doing. And they want to be a part of it as well. Yeah, lots and lots of dust here. So in summer, the dust devils that form out there, they can be quite something, especially when you drive through them. And yeah, last year with Paul, we drove through two dust devils. The one dust devil, we drove right in the center of it when it formed. And shame, Paul, he's very meticulous at looking after the camera and keeping it, clean of dust. Before every drive, I can promise you, the camera has got no dust on it with Paul. And he had spent quite a bit of time cleaning the camera that morning. And we went out and we went through this dust devil, and everything got dust, everything. And he was quite panicked there because electronic equipment doesn't like dust. It's the enemy, one of the enemies of electronics. All right, just in time for a pachyderm pool party at Naledi. Look at this. Let's spend a bit of time and let's just watch them. This is going to be interesting. Jive Bunny, yes, very different angle going on this side. We look at old Donyo, being very level to the ground. And then up here we have a little bit of a vantage point here. Different angle, different view. Right, by the looks of these elephants, it's obviously a much warmer day out in the Olifants West Game Reserve at Naledi Dam than what it is out here in the Eastern Cape. The elephants are already mud wallowing and trying to protect their skin against that sun. Cheetahs and other animals. I like the way you use your words there. This is so elephantastic. And that it sure is. Look at the elephant. It's going to try and move the camera now. Wonder if that's ever happened. An animal's ever, damaged the camera or use it as a scratching post or anything like that. Harriet Hodgin, you're also in Cape Town. Shame you feeling the cold there as well, you say. You would like to feel a bit of the sunlight. I relate to you so well. And I think in the Western Cape, the Eastern Cape, as soon as that sun comes out, all the people they're standing in front of that sun like squirrels. Yeah, no, it is cool today, I must say. Yesterday was a beautiful day, but today is a bit cold. Right, Jive Bunny, thanks for giving me all this history. Many of you, you watch these cameras quite religiously. Unfortunately, I can't watch the cameras all the time. So I often think, what sort of things have been seen over the time. And just these little snippets that you send in does help me to formulate a bit of a story around here. But yeah, it's interesting to know that you saw a hyena fall in this. Was it the waterhole or was it in that well? I'm sure it's the waterhole. And there's actually an Africam video that's available for it. That's interesting. I'll try and look for it. And I think what might also be a good idea, I don't know who will do it. Maybe, it might be an idea to make it an open platform, but you do almost like a species island And what this is at each of the locations where the cameras are, and when animals come to drink, the different species are all documented and like left on a spreadsheet or on a board or whatever the case may be. And then you're able to see, well, okay, well, this camera over the last 2 years, for example, all these different animals have been seen. Honey badger, this, that, this, that. It'd be very interesting to do that. It's a thing we call a species island, is to record all the species so that you can go back and refer to it. Okay, suddenly gone quiet here at Naledi. Let's go back to Old Donyo. I believe some zebras are out and about there. Sure, this is really a beautiful view. I think I shouldn't be playing favorites, but I think Old Donyo is my favorite camera. It's just every time we come here, there's something cool to be seen. There's a gemsbok in the background as well. I must learn to take screenshots. I can take photos of all these things. Here comes Elephant Bull. I think these animals are quite used to being chased around by elephants at this waterhole. And also got a bit of information yesterday that some of the elephants, they chase the other animals away from the water when they're here. And just by looking at the zebras, it's almost as if that zebra was expecting it and decided to run off. Jive Bunny, is that a fact? Okay, so the previous dam that we were at in Lady, Jive Bunny said that she actually saw a hyena fall in the well. I was not expecting that. What was that hyena trying to do to get into that well? Oh my goodness. I must take a look at that. I would imagine it was a pretty hard thing to get out of that well. If you're a hyena. Catherine, you also enjoying the old Donyo? No, it's a cool camera, definitely. Oh, we just see how thirsty this elephant is, how long he's going to be this waterhole, and we just might be able to see the zebras come in if this elephant bull decides to move off. But until such time, those zebras are going to need to wait. It's the only way. K9 Gold, thanks very much. Yeah, it's been a pleasure to be with you, but thanks for sending that nice little bit of inspiration my way. It's all about inspiration. Always helps. It's been great. It's a lot of fun doing this, I must say. Now, having so many different cameras, you know, anything can pop up at any of those cameras at any time. It really does maximize your chance of seeing something. But definitely a waterhole is a great place to have a camera. Erica Oldno, okay, so you love to see how the hyena antics, especially when they play in water. Yeah, it's very, very interesting to watch some of the things that they do in the water. Sometimes they just sit in the water. I've seen a hyena splashing around and swimming, but I'll never forget in one of the reserves that I worked at, hyenas, or a clan of hyena rather, meant to catch your. The first thing they do was drag this warthog. They picked it up and they carried this warthog to the water, and they drowned the warthog in the, and then they left the carcass in the water for a few hours. And later that evening they came back, and by that stage, the carcass had, or the meat had softened, and it made much easier feeding for them. So often hyenas will do that. They'll hide their meals, their kills inside water sometimes. Crocodiles do the same thing. They'll leave the meat in the water, allow it to soften up. Harriet Hodgin, thank you very much. Yeah, it's good to be back. Thank you for that, and I'm glad to hear that you're happy that I'm out and about here sometimes. I'll be doing a little bit of live at the waterhole in the new month of August, so you'll hear me again. But there's quite a few of us doing it, and we try and give each other all a chance. So you'll definitely catch up with me, or I'll catch up with you again. All right, and we are slowly but surely heading towards the end. I must say, it's been pretty good with elephants and zebra, and I definitely can't wait until I get a chance to see my first predator of sort at one of these watering holes. So I'll be waiting for that moment. And Darcy Miller, you say great job as always. Thank you. Great viewing as always. You're a great viewer. Yeah, and keep it up. Let's all make time in our daily schedules to spend a bit of time in nature, whether it be in your own neck of the woods or with the dam cameras. You never know what you'll see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are heading towards the end now, and it's just amazing how quickly time flies. And the saying, time flies when you're having fun, definitely applies in this situation. I've had so much fun today. It's been very exciting to be able to explore some of these areas with you all, and just getting some of these questions and comments, and yeah, it just brings back the blast from the past. I appreciate that very much. And yeah, I'll be back in August sometime. I can't remember the exact day, but you'll definitely hear me again. But yeah, thanks again for joining us this afternoon live at the Waterhole. Yeah, and we look forward to seeing you out in nature again. Until then, you all have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Cheers, take care for now.
Good afternoon, live safari goers, and welcome to another afternoon installment of On Safari. My name is Liam Burrow. I'm the naturalist that's going to be chatting you through a couple of the highlights of the last couple of days here with Wild Earth from our various locations. Man behind the lens, manning the camera, doing all the real technical stuff, is Albertus van der Merwe. So, yeah, hope you've got yourself nice and comfortable, got something cool and fresh to drink. Let's get cracking. Before we do, however, I'd love to remind you that, of course, as with all of our Wild Earth content, we do love to keep these programs as interactive as possible. So please keep your questions, comments, thoughts, anything you